Hi, welcome to howtod&d. My name is Fred Wheeler, and today I have a guest with me, John Shackle. Okay, so me and John are going to talk about Dungeons & Dragons 5e and player tactics and tips. And this particular tip is going Nova.
Boom!
Blowing your load, basically. This is when really you use your best spells, your best class abilities, and any features, whether they be race or class or background, you use them all at once in the same combat because you're either facing a desperate situation and the party is in jeopardy of losing.
Boss battle!
And the boss battle, exactly. John, you've had more than a lot of experience with going Nova in battles. Would you like to talk a little bit about your experiences with that?
Yes, it's depending on if it's a desperate battle or it's the boss fight. You kind of want to set yourself up where you can maximize as much potential hurt to the said creature or creatures and have as much fun dealing with it as possible.
So these are things like, when it comes to blowing your load, this is where you Fireball. If you're having to deal with lots of enemies, Fireball, it's an area effect spell, smash things really hard with that. If you don't have area effects to deal with and you're only dealing with maybe just a boss, like a single creature, which should be very rare. There aren't too many dungeon masters who will throw just one monster at you because they know solo monsters don't last very long. But if you are only dealing with a few targets, then select spells that will hit them and do as much damage or shut them down. There's a lot of spells like Hold Monster, Hold Person.
Polymorph!
Polymorph is a very popular spell, and you don't necessarily have to cast the Polymorph spell on the monster or the enemy. You can cast it on yourself, or probably more importantly on one of the other players' characters, so you don't have to worry about taking damage. You stand behind them and suddenly they've got a T-Rex to deal with.
Or a giant ape.
Yeah, that's the most common thing to turn into is the giant ape and definitely the T-Rex. And it doesn't necessarily do a lot of damage, but it's got a lot of hit points and it can stand there for ages.
Oh yes. And if you have, if you're playing high level, true polymorph, because then you can turn into anything.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Oh yeah.
Also too, I'll point out that conjure woodland creatures. Now, you could conjure pixies.
Yes.
You could conjure 8 pixies, and then ask those 8 pixies to cast polymorph.
Yep.
And as long as the pixies stay out of the fight, you could potentially have, if you've got 8 players, running around T-Rexing the whole thing.
Yep.
It is a pretty nasty way to blow your load and go Nova, because it will probably annoy your dungeon master, and I would suggest I wouldn't do it too often because they can do it to you as well. Okay. So yeah, but make sure that you use all your special abilities straight away. Paladins, make sure you're smiting. If you're a fighter, make sure you're using your action surge. Don't wait for later on. That's silly. Do it right now. Make sure you're using your second wind.
Yep.
Yeah. If you're the rogue, make sure you're getting your sneak attack damage. If it means you have to wait and ready an action, so somebody is in a position within 5 foot to actually get that sneak attack damage, then do that.
Barbarians, rage.
Yeah,
rage.
It is time to rage. Anything else to add, John?
No, as I said, you've pretty much said it quite well. As I said, especially if you're spellcasters, and good thing is if you know what their weaknesses are, use those spells to maximize your damage. So, like, say if it's immune to fire, you don't want to use fire spells. You want to use something else. But yeah, no, a druid, a good example for the druids. They can change the battlefield because they can do weird, crazy stuff.
Yeah, and you don't have to do damaging spells. You can use spells that will change the field, like web and Evard's tentacles, black tentacles, right?
Yes.
Yeah, that changes the battlefield. There are lots of spells that can do that sort of thing, and even shaping stone and earth can be helpful.
Yep.
Anything that affects elementals. Summon creatures. Summon creatures to stand in the front line and do the fighting for you.
Yep.
Yeah.
even confusion and the mass suggestion can change the battle like that.
Yeah. And also too, if you are the cleric, make sure you are using your mass healing words. Make sure you're doing those sorts of things, because mass healing and mass cure wounds, I believe.
Yep.
Both of those help when your party is taking a lot of damage and you need it right then and there. That's all I really have to say. If you found this video helpful or informative, please share, like and subscribe. Look, make a comment below if you have any questions about blowing your load or going Nova. I would think that it would probably be really helpful for other people if you share your stories about how you went Nova in a battle and how it was successful. Usually it is, it also means you're going to wind up having to take a short rest after, or at least probably a long rest.
But if it's the boss fight, that means you're fine anyway.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. Until next time, John.
Keep rolling those 20s.
See you later.